I'll speak. I hope to speak a few minutes. Okay. We were speaking about 5th chapter. Sanyasastu Mahabaho Dukkhamaptu Mayogataha. In earlier shloka, he told both Karma Yoga and Sannyasa. Both are useful. Both will take you. Both will take you to moksha. Therefore, don't think that there. See, earlier Bhagavan Krishna told that karma binds and jnana liberates. Binds in the sense not extra binding. Karma keeps you in the same cause and effect relationship, cycle of cause and effect, the same limited individuality, and also the limited action, limited response, so that you get a limited result. So you will be moving in the circle of cause and effect. So karma doesn't take you out of karma. Within the karma, within the circle of cause and effect, if you do a better karma, definitely your position will be better. We are not talking about that. Okay? If within the circle of cause and effect, if you do better karma, both your physical, oral and intellectual, mental work. Mental work means having a noble ideas, good thoughts, good feelings. Okay, good feelings and good thoughts will give you definitely a better world and better life. But better also is a part of cause and effect. The better loka, the better experience you get is a produced experience, is an affected experience, is not a natural essential nature. So anything you achieve through some effort is not going to be eternal. One day it will wear out and come to an end. It keeps wearing out and one day it comes to an end. Okay. This is the nature of karma. So we have two capacities. One is functioning, another is inquiring and understanding. We have two things. One is work, karma, another is jnanam, understanding. So karma keeps you. In karma again, two types of karma. A bad karma, selfish karma, or little selfless, open-minded, noble karma. Noble feelings and thoughts and karma. So noble feelings, thoughts and karma will take you to little higher experience or a higher level. But within the realm of cause and effect. Okay. But any karma will keep you only within the circle of cause and effect, within the realm of cause and effect. Therefore, earlier, Bhagavan Krishna told karma binds, whereas jnana liberates. By jnana, he doesn't mean a simple thoughts and ideas. See, by jnana, he doesn't mean thoughts and ideas. A probing, inquiring into the depth of the truth, inquiring into the depth of the world and discovering, intuiting the deeper truth, the essential truth of the entire world and also of the Atma. In that discovery he is talking. By knowledge he means an inquiry and intuitive discovery. Inquiry and intuitive discovery. In this sense, Jnanam. Jnanam is not an idea, an information. Okay? Jnanam is not a conceptual or an idea. Is so that concept or an idea relates to karma only. So an idea or a concept or a good feeling, noble feeling, all that form part of karma only. When he says jnana, he says the pure jnana, self-enquiry, enquiring the whole life and coming to understand the universal truth, the absolute truth by intuition. It's a discovery of the truth through intuition as a result of your inquiry, observation. Okay? Therefore, in this sense, jnana is an inquiry and discovery of the truth, discovery of the absolute fact, and the karma is with all our knowledges, ideas, experiences, concepts, with good feelings, noble feelings, with the help of them you undertake a good and job, all that is okay. They'll give you definitely, compared to the wicked, selfish karma, selfish thoughts, noble thoughts will definitely make you a better person. Remaining within the realm of cause and effect. Remaining within the realm of cause and effect, definitely you will have a better life, a better interaction with people, a better perception of the world. If you have a good feelings, noble feelings, values, discipline, therefore your work will definitely give you a higher experience or even a higher life. Yet, even that is a product of your effort. It falls within the realm of cause and effect. Therefore, one day it comes to an end. Again, you have to work for it. It is neither natural nor self-existing, neither natural nor absolute, nor self-existing. The natural, absolute, eternal, self-existing truth can be got only by discovery, not by effort. You won't reach the truth, you only come to discover the truth. That's why Bhagavan Krishna told, karma binds, jnana liberates. In this sense, not in the worldly sense. In Vedantic sense, it is a peculiar meaning of Vedanta. Karma binds, jnana liberates. So hearing this, Arjuna had a doubt. Having explained this, karma binds and jnana liberates, again Bhagavan advised Arjuna to take up a life of karma as a karma yoga. Arjuna didn't understand. Here what Krishna told is karma taken as a karma binds, but the same karma can be done in a different way. With an intention to gain knowledge, with an intention to discover the truth, the same karma can be done with a different motive, with a different understanding, with a different outlook, as a preparatory step for self-enquiry. Karma itself binds because it remains, it falls within the realm of cause and effect. Yet that karma can help you, remotely it can help you, not directly. How remotely? How can you say it helps you remotely? It prepares your mind for, not only mind, it prepares your whole personality. Prepares your whole personality so that it enables you to take up the self-enquiry. Then only you will be able to do vichara. Okay? Therefore, this preparation, same karma can be done in a preparation. So here when Bhagavan was telling karma binds, he is talking karma in general. Any kind of karma, good and bad and all kinds of karma. When Sri Krishna again advised him to take up karma as a yoga, of course he is talking of karma, but a slightly different karma. Okay? This difference Arjuna failed to understand. Therefore he asked the question again, and Sri Krishna has to clarify. Karma, when he says karma binds, he talked of karma in general. Because all karma falls within the realm of cause and effect. But when again Bhagavan Krishna advised him to take up the karma as a yoga, he told two things. One, you are not doing karma as a normal karma. You are doing karma in a special way as a yoga. One thing. You are doing karma as a yoga. Second, that karma is, though you remain within the realm of cause and effect, yet it helps you in preparing your whole faculty. Faculty means your mind. Preparing your whole personality. It prepares your personality so that you can take up the self-inquiry and transcend the very cause and effect relationship. You come to discover that. So discovery alone helps you to come out of the time-space cause and effect relationship, and your individuality you transcend by discovering the truth of you, the core of you, which is beyond your individuality. You have another aspect in you, not aspect, the real core in you, the central core in you, which transcends your individuality, the sense of individuality, the time and place, the relationship, cause and effect. It helps you to transcend all these things and remain eternally free. This is possible with only discovery, intuitive discovery. The discovery will be the result of inquiry. Inquiry requires a mind, mature, prepared mind, which is capable of inquiring, very open and observant. Mind has to be open, observant, and also preparation means what? Purity. Purity means what? Purity of your personality. Preparation requires openness, what is it? A comprehensive view. A comprehensive view and observant mind. Observation. These three things. Openness means non-prejudiced. Comprehensive, not a limited view. Observant mind, not imagining mind. Okay, the contrast you see. Open, no prejudice. No prejudice, no insecurity, fear. Insecurity, fear, rigidity, fanaticism. Openness doesn't mean only openness. It means free from prejudice. Prejudice, fear is also prejudice, interferes. Fear also interferes. Insecurity interferes. Worry interferes. Tension interferes. Therefore, mind should be really free. Pure means openness. Then comprehensive view. Comprehensive view, not a limited or narrow view. Okay? Not a limited or narrow view. Then observant mind, not an imaginative mind. Not. We generally, while listening to any talk, we imagine. But that is exactly the problem. Mind should not imagine but observe. Pay attention to the fact. So Vedantic listening, Vedantic understanding comes as a result of observation. Vedantic listening is an observing mind. Vedantic listening is possible with an observing mind, not an imaginative mind. See the difference. Mind imagines, accepts. We need neither acceptance nor imagination, but observe and discover. See the difference? Observing mind, a discovering mind, not an imagining and accepting. Okay? This is the difference. So preparation, karma yoga, the same life of karma, done with a different mind and a different way, though you are within the realm of cause and effect, it prepares you. Prepares means what? It frees your mind from fear, anger, prejudice, ego, and all that. Purity. Openness comes with purity. Okay? Openness comes with purity. Purity of what? Purity of all self-based, ego-based outlook, ego-based feelings and thoughts. Ego-based or selfish. Ego-based means what? Ego-based or selfish thoughts and views. Thoughts, feelings have to be removed. Ego-based or selfish thoughts and feelings have to be removed. Okay, this is the openness. Second, comprehensive. Comprehensive means it should include time and space and the whole holistic view. It shouldn't look at only a limited or a small view. It should include subject, object, and the whole world. So the comprehensive view. Third is, it should be an observing mind, not imagining and accepting. Okay? Imagining, accepting, and enjoying. Enjoying means you enjoy as a feeling. If you enjoy, you identify. Okay? If you enjoy, you identify. But in observation, there is a spontaneous joy, which is not an experience, means which is not an identification. Without identification, there is a spontaneous self-existence, illumination and joy. That's different. Okay? An identifying, an experiential joy is different from a joy, awareness joy. Joy in the form of awareness. A discovered joy, an awareness joy, not an experiential. Okay? Okay, these three things. So these three things you get as a result of Karma Yoga. So same Bhagavan advises Arjuna, tells Arjuna that karma binds. But the same karma done in a different way doesn't take you out of the cause and effect circle, but prepares you for an inquiry. That inquiry helps you to transcend the cause and effect relationship. Okay? So this is the difference. Therefore, he says, now two things Arjuna got confused listening to two things. Once you say karma binds, but advise me to do the karma. Isn't it contradicting? If you say karma binds, then let me give up all karma and directly take sannyasa. Sri Krishna says sannyasa is a technical term. It's not abandoning the work, is not sannyasa. Why do you abandon? Because you feel a pressure, you feel a stress in karma. Not by understanding the limitations of karma, that it is a cause and effect, that it is bound by cause and effect. If you give up karma out of vairagyam, out of proper understanding, then karma doesn't bind you. But instead of understanding the nature of karma and how it is limited, how it falls within the realm of cause and effect, your outlook towards karma is different. You will be detached, not hating. See, hating karma, out of hatred for karma, you drop karma. That is one way. Out of hatred for karma, because karma pressurizes you. Karma is a burden, a pressure, a tension. You don't want it. So this is avoiding karma, not transcending karma. Not understanding karma. But if you understand the limitation of karma, that it falls within the realm of cause and effect, you get a detachment, not hatred. By observing the nature of karma, you become detached. Not any either afraid or hatred, neither fear nor hatred for karma. So you require a sannyasa. Sannyasa is a detachment born out of understanding the limitation of karma. See, sannyasa is an accompaniment, is helpful for self-inquiry. Sannyasa is helpful for inquiry. It is an atmosphere. It is a conducive atmosphere. External sannyasa and inner state of mind. A state of sannyasa. An inner, mind's state of sannyasa. Mind's state of sannyasa it should be sannyasa should not be out of fear of karma. You avoid it. Even if you avoid, the stress doesn't go. If you feel out of tension, because karma involves expectation and your attention towards the result. Once you pay attention to the result, there is always uncertainty. Uncertainty creates fear, insecurity, and tension. Uncertainty creates fear, insecurity, tension, and all. So seeing this, he says, let me avoid karma. Bhagavan Krishna told, you give up karma by understanding the limitation of karma, how karma falls within the realm of cause and effect. Sri Arjuna, seeing the tension involved in karma, and the karma produces a result which binds me. Therefore, out of fear, out of tension, he wants to avoid karma rather than understand karma. Bhagavan Krishna says two things. First, you understand the limitation of karma. That understanding the limitation of karma produces a detachment. Not a fear, not a hatred. Okay? First, by understanding karma, you get a detachment. Understanding the limitation of karma. Okay? Limitation. That is, it falls within the realm of cause and effect. Then it produces a detachment, not a repulsion. Okay? Not repulsion. Repulsion for karma is out of tension. Okay? Understanding the limitation of karma produces a detachment. But the same karma can be done as a karma yoga. But do the same as karma yoga. Karma yoga falls within the realm of cause and effect, but it is free from tension, free from pressure. It is free from repulsion. Without repulsion, nor you have an interest to remain within the realm of cause and effect. You use it to prepare your mind so that mind becomes open, comprehensive, and observant. Having a comprehensive view, so it prepares you for it. Karma yoga. Third one is, and then when you understand the limitation of karma, you get a detachment. With the detachment, you can perform karma yoga. Then a stage comes later, karma yoga becomes optional. Because the result of karma yoga is a preparation of your mind to be able to inquire into the truth. Mind becomes highly creative, highly open-minded, comprehensive. It doesn't feel the pressure. It is interested in observing. It's capable of observation, capable of taking a comprehensive view. Okay? When mind is prepared, the karma yoga which helped you before to get into this purity, this state of purity, becomes optional. Because karma yoga you may continue you may continue it while doing vichara. While doing self-inquiry, karma yoga may be there, or you have a freedom to drop it completely and become a renunciate. Okay? So that karma yoga first prepares, later it becomes optional. Becomes optional means If you need it, you can do it. If you don't need it, you can drop it. But if you continue it, it doesn't disturb you, because the very attitude of Karma Yoga purifies your mind, detaches your mind from the cause and effect. It doesn't pressurize you. Because of it is on account of pressure that you wanted to avoid karma. But Sri Krishna says avoiding karma doesn't release you from the pressure, from the feeling of pressure, from the fear. By avoiding karma, life of karma, out of pressure, out of tension. If you avoid, the tension won't go away. Even after avoiding karma, there is a subtle tension inside the mind. Okay? You won't become free from tension. Because the tension continues subtly in some form. Subtly, it continues subtly in some or other form. Therefore, running away from karma or being afraid, that means an emotional reaction towards karma. When I told karma binds you, you are emotionally reacting. When Krishna told karma binds, instead of understanding, he emotionally reacted. Okay? Instead of understanding how does it bind, by why, and all those things. That understanding helps you gain a detachment. Instead of understanding it, he only emotionally reacted. Oh, karma binds, then I don't want it. So the tension you have is due to your weaknesses, impurity in the mind, not due to karma. It is the impurity in your mind. That is the selfishness, lack of values, attachment, presence of attachment, lack of values, and these things bind you, bring tension. Therefore, same karma can be used to erase the tension in you, to erase the impurities from your mind. Therefore, do it. The same karma is used to purify the mind. Purify means make the mind free from this emotional reaction. Free from emotional reaction. Therefore, when you become free from emotional reaction, you understand the limitation of karma, cause and effect. A detachment is born. And that detached mind becomes inward, inner looking, introspective. This inner looking, inner means a broader vision, inner and broader, inner and comprehensive. Inner vision and comprehensive view. That inner and comprehensive view helps you to observe the universal truth. Okay. Therefore, Arjuna, one side I told, on the one hand I told karma binds you and knowledge liberates. On the other hand, I told the same karma prepares you to discover the truth and transcend all karma. Therefore, don't see contradiction. See that both karma, if done as a yoga, karma done as a yoga, and the next self-enquiry accompanied by sannyasa. Self-enquiry accompanied by renunciation of all work. These two. Sannyasa also will take you to moksha. That means self-enquiry combined with sannyasa will take you to moksha. Or the same karma done as a karma yoga, not out of self-interest, but out of a dedication or a service to Bhagavan. As done as a karma yoga, prepares your mind, so you don't have to worry that it binds you. It doesn't bind you. In fact, it prepares you how to come out of it. Therefore, sannyasastu, both of them in the fifth shloka, previous shloka, he told both of them will take you. Yat sankhyaih prapyate sthanam tadyogairapi gamyate. The liberation that is attained by jnanam, by self-inquiry, the same is attained by karma yogi, because even the karma yoga has an aim of atmajnanam, of liberation alone. But only thing is, the liberation has got sadhanas at two levels. One level is karma yoga, then self-inquiry is a later level. Renunciation, combined with renunciation. So, this karma yoga is in the direction of moksha. Self-inquiry is in the direction of moksha. Both of them are in the same direction. Karma yoga is a little previous step, and a sannyasa and self-inquiry is a little later step. That's all. Therefore, karma binds is okay, is in general sense. But karma in a specific context, in a specific way, it doesn't bind. At the same time, it doesn't liberate directly. It is the jnanam that liberates directly. See, karma done as a yoga is between karma, between jnanam, self-inquiry. It is in between. It's not like ordinary karma which binds you. At the same time, it is not jnanam which liberates you, which gives you the truth directly, which helps you to discover the Atma directly. It can prepare. Okay? But it is not a, karma yoga is not self-observation. Karma yoga is not vichara. Karma yoga prepares the mind for vichara, but karma yoga itself is not vichara. Therefore, karma yoga is neither totally like karma, which binds you, nor it is completely like jnana. It gets detached from karma, cause and effect relationship, and wants to understand the truth, which is which transcends all this duality. Okay. Therefore, Sri Krishna advised Arjuna, karma binds, but a karma in a specific way helps you. It's not a direct means, but helps you. Okay. Therefore, yat sankhyaih prapyate sthanam tadyogairapi gamyat. One undertakes karma yoga with an intention to purify his mind and deepen his vairagyam. Deepen his vairagyam, strengthen your mind, it helps you. Purify your mind, it helps you. Therefore, you can use that. But the truth is directly understood only by self-inquiry. Therefore, yat sankhyaih prapyate sthanam tadyogairapi gamyate. Ekam sankhyancha yogancha ya pashyati sapashyati. Who understands karma yoga is not the same as jnana yoga, not in that sense, but it is in the same direction. See, ekamcha sankhyancha yogamcha. When he says, Bhagavan Krishna says, Sankhya and Karma Yoga. Sankhya is self-inquiry and Yoga is Karma Yoga. When he says, Ekam, Sankhyam cha Yogam cha Ekam. Sankhya and Yoga is Ekam. He didn't mean both are really one. He means both are in the same direction. That's what he means. Ekam means here, both are in the same direction. Both are moving in the same direction. But one is a little lower step, another is a little higher step. That's all. Both are in the same direction. Yoga is little, karma yoga is in a lower step, and jnana yoga is the final step. Jnana is the higher step. But both of them are moving in the same direction, take you in the same direction towards moksha. Therefore, don't see karma yoga as opposite to knowledge. Karma is opposite to knowledge, but not karma yoga. Karma yoga, though falls within the realm of cause and effect, its attention, its goal, its direction is different. Though you are a part of cause and effect, your direction, your attention is towards coming out of the duality, coming out of cause and effect relationship. Therefore, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga is self-enquiry combined with renunciation. Karma Yoga is you do karma with a detachment and with an intention to purify you. So both of them are in the same direction. Ekam cha sankhyan cha yogam cha yak pashyati sapashyati. A person who sees Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga as same, then Ekam cha sankhyan cha yogam cha yak pashyati. One who understands this, he understands it rightly. Here the Ekam doesn't mean both are same. Karma Yoga, some people try to interpret that way. Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, both are same. If both are same, then you don't have to teach us two sadhanas. Let him do anything, you will reach the same. No, but it doesn't work. Therefore, Ekam in the sense, in the same direction towards moksha only. Not exactly same. Therefore, Karma Yoga is a lower step of learning detachment and purifying the mind. Jnana Yoga is undertaking vichara with a pure mind. In Karma Yoga, you are purified. Starting point is still ego and frustration, all those things are there, but gradually you come out of your impurities of mind. You develop a keen, comprehensive, open mind, observant mind, not get carried away by prejudices and emotions and reaction. Even if an enemy says, mind should be ready to listen with all openness, whether what he says is true. This requires a complete openness, not a prejudiced mind, not an insecurity, fear and all. Mind has to be pure. Okay, Ekam Sankhancha Yogancha Yah Pashyati Sapashyati in the 6th shloka. But both are going in the same direction. It is okay whether you do Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga, whether you are practicing Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga, you are in the same direction and you will reach the truth. And the next shloka says, but sannyāsastu mahabāho dukkhamāptum ayogatah. Sannyasa is no doubt great. Sannyasa is a self-enquiry by avoiding all karmas with renunciation as a sannyasi. So, giving up all karmas, taking to a life of sannyasa and self-enquiry is no doubt good. But that cannot be attained with a lower step called Karma Yoga. First step of Karma Yoga, you have to practice and mind will be fit to understand the higher truth. Okay. Therefore, ayogataha, without Karma Yoga, if you take to sannyasa, that sannyasa becomes unnecessary burden, unnecessary tension, unnecessary worry. Why did I become sannyasa? I would like to go away like this. Therefore, Dukkham aptum ayogatah, without practicing Karma Yoga as a first step, it's very, very difficult to get Jnana Yoga directly. Okay. Yoga yukto munir brahmana chirenadi gacchati. But if you practice Karma Yoga, very soon you will be able to purify and take up the vichara. Jnana Yoga or vichara becomes easy. Because mind is so prepared that almost you are like a sannyasi. If the mind is so pure, you can just listen the truth. Listen means observe. You have to observe within your anubhava. It becomes easy to observe. Okay, therefore, don't see them as rivals. Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Sannyāsastu mahabāho dukkhamāptum ayogatah yoga yukto munir brahmana chirena adi gacchati. 5th chapter. Fifth shloka. Now he says, it's very difficult to attain without Karma Yoga, because Karma Yoga gives the sufficient detached outlook. It gives an inner purity and inner strength. Purity, when mind is pure of raga, dvesha, emotions and all that thing, mind becomes relaxed and observant. It also doesn't feel insecurity. That insecurity is a tremendous problem for people. Okay. Yoga yukto manir brahmana chirena adi gacchati. But if you practice yoga, it prepares you for sannyasa. So two things. Living a life of external sannyasa and also self-enquiry. Both these go together. Self-enquiry, self-observation, and also purity of mind, karma yoga. The combination of both will take you to the moksha directly. Nachirena, very soon you will attain moksha. Your next sixth is over. Now go to the seventh shloka. Yoga yukto vishuddhatma vijitatma jitendriyah sarvabhutatma bhutatma kurvannapi na lipyate. If the karma yoga prepares you for real sannyasa, once you get that real qualitative sannyasa, karma will be dropped anyway, but even karma yoga will get dropped. That is the tapas. Yoga yukto. So with this karma yoga, a person, what happened? Vishuddhatma becomes purified. And then Vijitatma has a self-control. Vijitatma jitendriyaha sarvabhutatma bhutatma. That vicharaka. First, after karma yoga, you come to vichara stage. And as a result of vichara, you come to understand the truth, which is pure and ever pure, sarvabhutata bhutatma, sarvabhuta atma bhutatma, that which is an atma of sarvabhutas, that which is an atma, antaratma of all the living beings. Then this understanding, kurvannapi na lipyate, such a purely enlightened person, even if he acts outside, it doesn't get affected. So, if you have a selfish desire, you get affected. Karma yoga doesn't bind you, but doesn't also give you direct moksha. See the peculiarity. Karma yoga neither binds you, nor it will liberate you directly. It prepares you for inquiry, but it's not the nature of inquiry. Karma yoga is not a nature of observation, it's a nature of imagination. Okay. So therefore, sarva bhutatma kurvannapi na lipyate, a really enlightened person, a real sadhu or a sannyasi, who transcends the very individuality, he won't do anything. Even if he does it, you can see the difference. I think a very lovingly compassionate person, he does everything for the good of others. Okay. Therefore, sarva bhutatma kurvannapi na lipyate, such person, due to some reason, if he does the karmas, okay, kurvannapi na lipyate, such person physically, even though action is going on, the function is going on, your inner Atman is understood as untouched by it. Like the reflections in a mirror, the mirror remains untouched by the reflections appearing here, appearing inside it. Similarly, all this is, although in the Atma, I seem to identify with an individual body. Okay. So this is what he has to help to come out of that individuality and discover yourself as the absolute truth. Therefore, a real jnani, how does he behave? How does he understand? Naiva kinchit karomi iti yukto manyeta tattvavitu. Tattvavit or tattvajnani, he understands that he is not doing anything. Things may happen from others' standpoint, but for myself, he just remains silent. Manyate tachitu naiva kinchit. So jnani understands that I am not doing anything. Means what? I am not undergoing any change. I am not doing, see, jnani understands naiva kinchit karomiti. Naiva kinchit karomiti means I am not doing anything. I am not doing anything. So here, when you say I am not doing anything, that means you are free from kartrutva. Naiva kinchit karomiti. I am not doing anything means what? He is free from kartrutvam, free from agent of action. freedom from agent of action. Okay, naiva kinchit karomiti, he understands. He discovered by intuitively that I am free. I am no more an individual. Therefore, how does a jnani behave? Pashyan, shrinvan, sprishan, jigran, ashnan, gachan, swapan, shwasan, in all these various functions of the body. Sitting, walking, eating, drinking, speaking, touching, throughout in all these actions, what happens? Swapan, while sleeping and waking, in and through all these activities, you remain akarta. Akarta means you don't feel that you are subject to these various actions. You are pressurized to do all these functions. No, you have no pressure because you have no attachment. You have no expectation. Mind is free. Therefore, Pashyan, Srinvan, Pushan, Jigran, Ashnan, Gachan, Swapan, Shwasan. In all these life activities, what happened? Pralapan, Visrujan, Grunnan, Mishan, Nimishan, Napi is continuing in the next dosa. Pralapan while speaking, Visrujan while throwing out, Grunnan while receiving, Grunnhati, Visrujati. So, it is the Indriyas that function. Atma remains untouched. Just like a space which is a common basis for all, with whatever thing happens, space doesn't get affected. So similarly, Atma doesn't get affected. Okay? Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyetu sarvavita. A yogi understands that I am not doing anything. Okay? Therefore, Jnani, of course, he transcends Karma Yoga. It transcends even Jnana Yoga because the result of Jnana is Brahma Swarupam, he got it. He discovered the Atma, he intuited the Atma, then he is ever free. But in the next 9th shloka, we'll tell in the next class. In the 9th shloka, he understands Indriyas, all sense organs are perceiving the sense objects. Means sense organs, sense objects are together at one level. Sense organs naturally see the sense objects. Sense objects need some seer to exist. Otherwise, the inert objects themselves, they don't say we are existing. It is we who say that this is pen, this is table, or this is book. Okay, therefore, with all your life activities of ears, eyes, and then all sense organs talking, and what you call heart is beating and pumping the blood. All this is going on. And Pralapan, Visrujan, Grunnan, while speaking, while taking and giving, in all this Unmishan, Nimishan, Napi, while closing your eyes and opening your eyes, in all these functions, Indriyani Indriyarten Vartanta iti dharayan. And also understand that Indriyani Indriyarteshu, the Indriyas are at the level of the objects. The sense organs are at the level of the sense organs should be high. Beyond the object, they can't. Once you leave the object, sense organs don't exist. Therefore, Indriyani Indriyarteshu. So, Indriyas live in their own respective object. That means the Indriyas are got stuck to the external objects. They remain there alone. Then what happens? If this is the Jnani state, okay, you told Jnani state is result of self-inquiry combined with sannyasa. But here he says, instead of now to be able to discover that Jnana Swarupam as a preliminary step, as a lower step, you have to do Karma Yoga. Therefore, my advice, karma binds, you have to understand in a proper context. I said in general. But the same karma, does it properly, it purifies the mind and prepares for self-inquiry. Therefore, you have to do Karma Yoga. Don't hesitate to jump out of it. Don't hesitate to drop karma. Brahmanyadaya, in 10th shloka, Brahmanyadaya karmani sangantyakva karoti yaha lipyatena sapapena padmapatram ivambhasa. A person who does the activities, All your life activities he carries through your Brahmanyadaya karmani sangam tyaktva karma phala asakti, that I am doing abhimana, all this he gives up and surrender to himself, his guru. So such person, even if he does any action, it doesn't get affected. Lipyate nasapapena, he remains like a lotus leaf in water. What is the speciality of lotus feet in water? Lotus flower in water, lotus leaf. Lotus leaf, though it is dipped in water, or at least generally you see the leaves, it's round leaves on the surface of water. Sometimes they go, but even then they won't touch the water. You take a lotus leaf and dip in the water 5 times, 10 times, or even keep it for a while, 1 minute, and 1 minute or so. You take out, no drop touches it. The leaf doesn't become wet, it doesn't touch it, because tamaraku, the lotus leaf, tamrapatram, not tamara, kamalapatram. This lotus leaf, even if you touch water with it, water doesn't touch it. It remains unaffected. Okay. Therefore, Jnani by his Jnana Yoga transcends everything. But you, while doing Karma Yoga, you are in the same direction. You are preparing yourself for next Jnana Yoga. Therefore, please do. Don't see karma as opposite to your self-inquiry and your sannyasa. It is preparing you for sannyasa, preparing you for Jnana Yoga. Therefore, Karma Yoga is on the side of Jnana Yoga, is a helping Jnana Yoga, is not keeping you in cause and effect relationship. Though it falls within cause and effect relationship, but it doesn't keep you in cause and effect relationship. It prepares you towards Jnana Yoga. Okay. That is the thing. Therefore, carry out Karma Yoga in the 10th shloka. Today we discussed 7, 8, 9. Okay? No, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4 shlokas we did. I think is a good score, good number. In one class, 4 shlokas. Okay. Next 10th, 11th, 12. Up to, I think these 3 go together. 10, 11, 12. These 3 go together in one idea. That one idea we shall cover in the next class. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Tat Sat.